What's going on, fish? Welcome back to your favorite pond. You might have noticed this before, you might have seen this layout before, but once again, we are doing the Coy Pond remote. Another week of that. And you know what? We're joined with some of the buddies of the program. Kevin's not able to join us tonight, so sad. He will be back next week without a doubt. But nevertheless, the show must go on, and thank you all for watching Coy Pond episode 54. We're joined by Jason and Matt, per last time, or a couple weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
In for a great episode today. There's going to be nothing but winners and bangers and solid opinions all around. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and get into it and talk about what was week 11 of the NFL season. Some highs, some lows, some everything in between. Starting out with the Commanders-Eagles last Thursday night. Eagles did what the Eagles do. They won at home. Commanders looked a little iffy. I'd say there was some back and forth there. They had some hope early. It felt like Commanders might have had that game a little bit more than they did, but they weren't able to close it out, and Saquon Barkley showed up as he kind of does. Matt, I don't know if you had any opinions on Saquon Barkley in that game or not, but
Not
you know,
too much. He came through when they needed him to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just the usual script for the Eagles, it feels like. I think the Commanders will probably split with them when they get back to DC, though.
I'd agree with that. It's
I think
NFC
the
East.
home was a big advantage for that one.
Yeah, Philly, Sirianni's been getting chirped all season, it feels like,
As he
and
should.
as he should, the baboon himself, Nick Sirianni. But regardless, they know how to win games. They have a good roster. I don't think anybody else really did much except for Saquon Barkley in that game. Obviously, Hurts, I think, had one, maybe two push or
push, yeah.
rushing touchdowns.
And then Marshawn Lattimore also did not play that game.
That's right. We originally thought before it got announced there was a shot Lattimore would play, but he
And
didn't.
I think there's an injury or two as well. Another couple more on the Commanders that were pretty big. So I think a full
Yeah.
healthy Commanders in DC would probably sneak it by them.
Yeah, they only lost by 8. The Commanders are still a really good team. Playing in Philly is just a hard thing, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Jason, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that
No, I
game.
think playing in Philly is tough. Barkley did what he does, and I think they're trying to bounce back more. So I like the Eagles. They're looking good going forward, but I don't think Washington's going anywhere. They're still
Yeah.
a great team. So
For sure. Jane Daniels having an amazing season for a rookie, and
Yeah.
without a doubt, they'll bounce back. What are you going to do? Moving on, we had Packers-Bears, 20-19, absolute game of the week. Bears are on fire. I'd say blow up the stadium. Soldier Field has no soldiers in it. Caleb Williams is exactly who Matt and I said he was early before the season started. Matt Eberflus is a bit of a Momo, and the Bears' bad luck continues. I have nothing for this game. The Packers are a good team. They're not a great team. The Bears are a dumpster fire. I would argue more than 90% of the teams in the NFL right now. A Hail Mary put them 6 feet deep, and they're still trying to figure out how to climb out of that hole.
I was going to say, I think it's kind of impressive that the same team within like 3 weeks can lose on a Hail Mary and a blocked field goal.
It was kind of impressive. I mean, it's almost impossible to block field goals these days with the different rules in place around what you can and can't do. I think we've seen the defensive linemen that touch an offensive lineman on the top as they try and jump. I think we've seen that flag once or twice now.
Yeah.
The
going
fact that
over.
the fact that Packers still blocked a field goal and Bears lost the game, absolutely amazing. Seeing the Bears do terrible is just, salt of the earth for me. I just love it to death. But I don't really have anything for this game personally. It looked like Jordan Love had a good game, but you only beat the Bears by 1, so I don't know how amazing it really was. Divisional nonetheless. On to the next. Lions routed the Jaguars.
Belt ass.
You
That was
know,
a beating.
Sean Kahn, I think is the owner's name, said this was the best Jaguars team ever assembled. Try again next year. The Lions are doing what the Lions do. To continue beating up bad teams like they do is impressive. Everyone in that game on the Lions had an amazing stat line except for Goldilocks on the Lions that got hurt.
Oh, Alazone.
Yeah.
Whatever it's
Yeah.
Alazone.
T's and P's, still riding that futures bet, and we're going to continue riding it till the end. So, nevertheless, Vikings beat Titans by 10. I mean, the Vikings and Titans, I'm still not convinced the Vikings are a great team.
Yep, Vikings are fraudulent.
They won't do
it's
well in the
loose.
playoffs.
I don't
that-
know if they'll make the playoffs. Their schedule
I think
comes
they
up. It's
will.
not going to be that. I don't know, but
Well, they have divisional coming up, no doubt.
and the wild card right now is set at 7 wins, so they're only a game above the wild card right now.
Yeah, I don't know about NFC, but right now in the AFC, it's looking like you need 10 wins to even have a shot at the wild card, or to be included in the playoffs, I should say.
Yeah.
So, the Vikings will have to do it, but in that division right now, between the Packers and Bears doing what they're doing, it's hard to compare them there, but I agree that the Vikings probably are not going to be a deep run playoff team. It feels like they had their spike early. I think they had a couple injuries, and they've kind of fallen off. Not really, because they're still winning, but it's so weird in between where I just don't have as much faith in them, to be completely honest. But yeah, nevertheless, the Titans lost. Titans also just trash organization right now. I don't know what's going on with Will Levis. He 17 for 31 with 295 yards is a crazy stat.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. Who knows what that game really looked like? But
it was a boring game.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds like Titans football.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, Raiders at Dolphins, 34-19. Who was back? They beat up.
It was so bad.
Against the Raiders.
The old Tua Tagovailoa beat the hell out of the Raiders. I mean, I think Georgia could beat the shit out of the Raiders right now. The owner rocking the bowl cut, trying to figure out who their head coach is going to be. I mean, not head coach. They hired Norv Turner as offensive assistant, and we saw how that's been recently. I mean, the Raiders are also kind of a dumpster fire. I think they should start competing for the first pick in the draft, if anything.
I did see
that doesn't tell me much.
Did see though. I think Brock Bowers had 100, almost 150 yards or so.
Yeah,
so
Bowers
126
fantasy for me.
That dude has a chance to be the star of that organization here soon, if he already isn't.
He is
for sure,
oh,
and
he 100% is.
Yeah, I'd be impressed if Gardner Minshew is there next year, and they might keep Aiden O'Connell as a backup just because he is a solid quarterback for what he's worth. But they just don't have anything right now. They got rid of Devontae Adams. They still have Max Crosby and Gordon Wilkinson, that other DT who's really good. I think a healthier team next year will set them straight, but look for a high draft pick for the Raiders. Rams beat the Patriots 28-22. Initially, that game was not looking like the Rams were going to be able to pull it off in the old Patriots way, but they did. Stafford had a pretty good game overall, and the Rams receivers are back after Stafford had that terrible loss to the Dolphins where every pass got batted down. So, again, I don't really have much for this game personally, but at the very least, Stafford got his confidence back in his receivers. Puka didn't get thrown out of this one, so I say it's a step in the right direction. Browns Saints. Browns suck.
14 points on 100 yards, man.
And the Shittler, old Rizzy, who clogged a toilet 2 weeks ago, just realized on the old John that they had Taysom Hill still and decided to just abuse that white man.
He's back.
He was running normal running back plays, getting 10, 15 yards. He was blocking, he was catching, and he was throwing.
He was taking runs out of the shotgun. Like, he was lined up at QB, and they just said, all right, run it. 20 yards. It happened like twice.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what the last Saints coach, I think, was that Hackett, or was that, whoever it was. I can't believe they didn't use Taysom Hill more, and that was at some point a thought of mine. But the fact that they just came out and got Taysom Hill 3 touchdowns in a week is crazy. And sure as shit, I was playing him in fantasy. Taysom Hill was on Kev Dog's team this past week that absolutely routed me. Just belt to ass. No mercy. All right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. My luck. But fantasy this year has just been tank season. We're hoping for a high draft pick next year. Colts go to New York and end up beating the Jets. As Matt would say, poverty Jets.
The only game that was on the plane on the way home, and I watched Aaron Rodgers go 3 and out 4 different times to end the first quarter with negative passing yards against the Colts. I turned it off and just didn't even want to watch that game.
Back to Retro Bowl we
Well,
go.
yeah, back to Retro Bowl and Sudoku.
I actually could not believe that the Colts, I think, technically came back to win this game.
They were up
And I
10
can't
nothing
believe
at
that-
one point.
Yeah, I
That's
think the
funny.
Colts had like 9 like good plays in the first half or
Yeah.
something. There was a create, or
Right.
maybe it was like no yardage wise. I mean, they're gonna bench Aaron Rodgers next week, so I mean that'd tell you everything how they performed last week.
Yeah, because the owner, Woody, I don't know if it's Harrison or Woody Harrelson or however you say his name,
I think it's Harold's.
came out, yeah, and said that he wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers in September.
Yeah,
That's
That's
crazy.
So, but instead of benching them, they fire their head coach and they fire their general manager.
Yes. So
That's
apparently
the
the general
solution.
manager hasn't really been doing anything for like the last 6 months anyway. And then on top of it, Salah was taking all of the kind of heat in the moment for them still being terrible. And this is just a bad look. It's also bad enough that Mike Williams goes to the Steelers and catches a touchdown immediately upon being traded away from the Jets.
yeah.
Yeah. Devontae Adams, I think, has been dropping balls. I mean, it feels like the Jets are just cursed. Almost as bad as the Giants, but maybe not as quite.
It's
But that
MetLife.
stadium maybe is
It's the
cursed.
stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Meadowlands, New York, New Jersey is absolute poverty. But yeah, I don't know how the Colts did it. Kudos to them for keeping their playoff hopes alive.
It was Anthony
Um,
Richardson. He actually had a decent game.
Yeah.
He actually didn't look bad at all. But I mean, it was the Jets, so normally their defense is pretty good. But AR-15 might be back.
Didn't it say like
Yeah, I
Sauce
think-
Gardner hasn't had an interception in 2 years or something like that? I could be wrong on
Yeah.
that. 400
No,
some
they had
days.
some
Definitely
stat.
not this season. I feel like.
But he hasn't had one this season. He hasn't had a takeaway in over 400 days, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, it's something like that, and it's crazy because this Jets defense was so dominant last year, and this year it feels like they just don't show up. So I don't even know what's going on with that, let alone their offense. Jets aren't figuring it out this season. That thing's going to explode after this season, and they're going to go back to poverty with no hope. They had hope, no hope.
Nope.
But, that's life, baby. Steelers beat the Ravens in the old Acrisure Stadium. This kind of surprised me, kind of didn't. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts in a second. But, I mean, everyone knew the Ravens' defense wasn't amazing. It was supposed to be. It hasn't been so far. Steelers' dominant defense. And, it's Russell Wilson. So, to some extent, as much as I love the guy, you don't know what you're going to get every week. But, the Steelers being able to pull this game off is huge for that AFC North and kind of the AFC picture now that the Ravens are right in a wild card spot. I don't know which one of you might have an opinion on this first, to be honest.
Oh, no. I mean, the Ravens should have won it. They didn't have Derrick Henry on a 2-point conversion. They had missed 2 field goals with Justin Tucker. Their
Oh, that's
defense
right,
isn't
Tucker.
even that good, but they still hold them to 0 touchdowns, the Steelers.
Yeah.
The Ravens are probably one of the best teams in the league when they're on, but very easily beatable by almost any team when they're just not clicking.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of forgot this was Boswell's 6 field goal game.
Field goal game, yeah. Justin Tucker
Yeah.
missed 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, do we think it's about time that the Ravens old Yeller, old Tucker, or is that
Yeah.
is that not the
And
answer
didn't they
yet?
also
Because
get
I
3
mean,
attempts on the 2-point conversion? They didn't complete it once.
it was something like that.
Yeah.
It's not impressive. And Lamar Jackson's technically having an MVP season too with Josh Allen.
Back to back.
The Ravens play better when Lamar Jackson is not throwing the ball.
Yeah,
Let
mean,
them
dude,
designed runs or Derrick Henry. Let them do the work, and you'll be fine. But whenever he throws the ball, it starts getting to the hit or miss territory.
I mean, Derrick Henry being held to 13 carries and 65 yards is kind of insane
Yeah.
with how it's shaken up this season, in all honesty.
If you keep giving him the ball, he'll get a 60-yard run eventually.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and usually it happens in the fourth quarter,
Exactly.
so I don't know where
Everyone's
most of
gassed.
those...
He's never tired, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, not impressive. I know there's... Was it John Harbaugh was catching a bunch of flack because it's another big game they're not able to put away against one of the rivals, and, Tomlin just amazing coach. He knows what he's doing. Can't be mad about that. I could see them splitting this, too. I could see the Ravens winning the second
In
meeting.
Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Jason, as the local AFC North resident, do you have a particular feeling about these two teams just going ham at each other?
I think the Steelers' offense is like a just enough offense. Like, I don't think it's anything special, but it's enough to
No.
keep them in close games. So their defense just looks so good. I mean, they shut down Derrick Henry most of the time, except towards the end. Got to make your field goals. Obviously, that's what won the Steelers the game. And Justin Tucker's just getting kind of old. I think he still has 1 or 2 more seasons, but man, he can't make any 50-yarders. So, I think it's just getting weaker. So,
yep. Hey,
you know how important field goals are.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
we'll get there. Broncos, Falcons come in yo trap, lose the trap. Get routed by the Broncos at Mile High, 38-6. Bo Nix is the front runner, I think, for offensive rookie of the year, rookie offensive player of the year, however you say that. But I mean, he looked amazing. The Broncos just pounded them for 4 quarters and didn't let up. I have no words for this other than, the Falcons have the highest highs and the lowest lows right now, it feels like.
Yep.
There's weeks they look amazing. Then they lose to the Saints and Broncos, and you question their legitimacy.
And then you're a field goal away from beating the Chiefs. Oh, no, wrong team. Or,
no, I think it was them too.
Too.
I think so. I mean, hell, I have it live right here. Might as well just take a peek, see. Yeah. At one point, I don't know how the game ended up.
Yeah, I don't think it was to win it, but field goal from beating them.
God. Regardless, Broncos looking like a strong team late in the season. Falcons looking like, another year of the NFC ass. NFC South not looking amazing is all I mean. Seahawks go to the 49ers and win. That 49ers team does not resemble anything of what it has the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know what's going on in 49er land, and I don't know who pissed off Geno Smith, but the fact that Seahawks won this game is baffling to me. Geno Smith throws an interception. The game is, I think, I can't remember what happened on that final 49ers drive, but I mean, this is just not how it's supposed to be. 49ers are 1-3 against their division right now. It feels like after this season, along with the Jets, the 49ers are just going to lose everybody. Brandon Ayuk's been hurt all season. Debo punching the kicker. Kicker can't make a kick. It feels like just a complete implosion. I think Kittle was hurt for that game too.
Was he punching the kicker or the long snapper?
It was one of the two.
I think it was the kicker.
Oh, I could be wrong.
Either way, this flying, not a good look. Kudos to the Seahawks. I don't know what their odds, and we'll look into this, are of making the playoffs and doing well with the Cardinals kind of running that division. And by that, I mean everyone's within a game of each other. I'm lost. I'm lost on the NFC West right now. Jason, I don't know if you had any takeaways from this game, but nothing really impressed me about either one of these teams here.
Yeah, no, the Seahawks, I feel like, always get in these close games, and it's whether Russ shows up to see if he's going to be able to close it out or take an L. Right. But 49ers just don't look like healthy. They don't look like they have any urgency. CMC really didn't have a phenomenal game. All their injuries, I just don't even know who Brock can even throw to, compared to the beginning of the season. So I feel bad for the 49ers, but I think with all their stars, if they can't stay healthy, then they might have to look somewhere else or look into trade. So it'll be interesting to see what they do early next year.
Completely agree. We'll have to see. Chiefs at Bills, 30-21. Bills win. It felt like everyone knew how this game would go. May not have known the script, but everyone kind of felt like the Chiefs have barely won all 9 of their games so far this year. Come into Buffalo undefeated. Bills, I think final drive, kind of pull away from everything, get that last touchdown, and the Bills look good. No one's missing Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis in Buffalo land. I don't think Keon Coleman played in this game, but him and Khalil Shakir, however you say his name.
Shakir, you had it.
Yeah. Dalton Kincaid, I think, was hurt for this, but Knox was still out there. James Cook. I mean, the Bills look like a real wagon that's going to lose come the AFC Championship. Somehow they will just not be able to able to do it. I think we even predicted it last week that the Bills are going to win this game. They're going to lose in the playoffs at some point. But nevertheless, they still beat the Chiefs. You know, the last undefeated team. Very impressive.
Finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Allen also having himself an MVP year. We'll just have to see. Both these teams are good, no doubt. Everyone knows that. Just excited for them to get in the playoffs, honestly. Can't say there's anything more to it other than, you know, once the Chiefs get Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco's coming back first. Is Rashee Rice, did they say, might be back, I think, by the end of the season? Potentially.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I'm crazy.
Potentially. I'm not sure. I think Pacheco will come back next week for Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to look. I might put some in the notes after this. But, on to my favorite game of the week. Bengals-Chargers, 34-27. That was by far one of the best games in primetime this year, just to start that.
Yeah, agreed.
The Chargers almost outcharged the Bengals. This was a huge... I'm just going to speak to Chargers fans, and then Jason, I'm going to throw it to you to let you talk about the Bengals' point of view on this.
Yeah.
I can't describe how many games I've watched in my life in the last maybe 5 to 6 years where the Chargers did exactly what they did on Sunday night. They came out hot, they came out swinging, and then the lead after half slowly got chipped away inch by inch by inch. Until finally, it's a tied fucking ball game when you were up 21 points. I've seen this in, no joke, maybe 4 to 5 games in the last 3 years. 3 of them happened in a row 2 years ago. The Jaguars game, and then I'm sure there's been another game in there somewhere that I've just blacked out of my mind and forgotten about completely. Mr. Harbaugh being on this team and somehow willing this game into not being what the old Chargers would have done, and that is probably missed a field goal, had a flag, and then the Bengals just throw it to Jamar in this game, has completely flipped my mindset on how the Chargers are as a team. I don't think they'll make a deep playoff run, to be completely clear. They might steal one game, if that. I really think they're going to get first rounded in the playoffs, and that's it. But that is so much infinitely better than what the last 2 years have been for the Chargers, and I think this game's going to be a turning point for the mindset. Because Keenan Allen and Mike Williams blew so many games on the Chargers that I cannot describe it with words. Nevertheless, that game without Khalil Mack was so much closer than it needed to be and had me sweating bullets. And that's all I've got to say. That was a terrible win for the Chargers. That game got so much closer when it didn't need to be that I was actually fuming at the mouth. Jason, I'll let you say your piece on the Bengals. I just had to get that off my chest.
No, it's all warranted. I mean, we just can't win one-score games. That's been the pitiful of this season. But this game is exactly how it is to be a Bengals fan. In the beginning, when I was younger, we were so bad. We're getting blown out the whole first half. Just horrible. Did not look good at all. And in the second half, now we start to get to the 2019, 2020 when Joe Burrow comes. We start to make a comeback. We look really good. Jamar is doing phenomenal. And we make it all the way to where we're tied. And it's just like we're back at the Super Bowl. And then we lose right at the very end, just like we always do. That's how it is being a Bengals fan. I feel so bad for Joe Burrow and Jamar because it's just not their fault. I'm so glad we benched Cam Taylor-Britt like early in the game. He still got some action in the second half, but our defense just looks pitiful. Like that first half, there were so many opportunities for the Chargers to score. And even their last drive where they just went down and threw, I think, like 4 passes to Ladd. And it was just wide open. I just don't know how you don't pick them up downfield that easily, but kudos to the Chargers. They actually look like a decent team, but I don't think they'll go very far in the playoffs if they end up making it. But Bengals season, it's pretty much over. We have very low odds to make it, but I just hope that we can find a good enough wide receiver to replace T because he's probably gone. So we need a new wide receiver, and I don't even know, new backfield for defense. It's just so pitiful.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, it almost feels like just, trash all the coaches and just let them free. Because, I don't know. Taking Taylor-Britt out was definitely a huge point in that game. And also, I think a couple Chargers players went down. And that second half, the defense just immediately picked up on the Chargers. And Also credit that to no one running the ball on the Chargers till the last quarter. But that game was sincerely incredible.
And Herbert had some legs on him that game. I don't know where that came from, but Herbert's been looking good. I mean, the announcers were just giving some crazy stats during that game. Like he was almost perfect into the second half, and
oh my God,
he scored so many touchdowns, consistently in the last couple of weeks. He's looking really good now that he's finally fully healthy.
Yes, story of that man's career. Solid defense mixed with him not being crippled for once and having both of his hands working is quite nice, not gonna lie, but we'll see how the second half of this season shakes up for him. Moving on to what was the Monday night game. Texans came into the Dallas stadium, AT&T stadium, that is dropping sheet metal from the heavens, trying to take out casters. Texans win 34-10. Joe Mixon puts on an absolute masterclass. Matt, I don't know if you have any comments for this.
Man. Game went basically exactly how everyone, at least I expected it to. The Cowboys are 0-5 at home this year now. Last year, we didn't lose a game at home in the regular season.
Offense
isn't clicking, defense isn't clicking. Nothing's there, man.
I saw CD Lamb and Micah Parsons were shooting a music video for a song on their album that night after the game finished in the club. I'm not going to talk about this much. I might leave it for Kevin to maybe explode about again. About what we expected, I'm curious to see what happens this offseason. I'm just going to keep it at that.
I have a feeling the Commanders game this week is going to be about the exact same thing. They're going to run the ball first, just like they did with Mixon. If not, they're going to find a broken coverage in the deep field, and they're going to chuck it. And 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be wide open, just like it was this game.
Terry's going to come in to the game dressed up as the Grim Reaper.
Austin,
not even Halloween.
Austin Eckler's going to run back 2 of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You never...
It makes it a lot more fun when you go in with no expectations. Because in the beginning of the season, I was so pissed after every game. Now it's just kind of laughable.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. You had some injuries. There's a lot of linemen went down for what it's worth before Dak did.
Yeah, and, Micah Parsons out for a bit. Brandon Cooks is still out. It's just not the year.
Aubrey looks amazing, though.
Yeah,
on the bright side.
Best player on the team.
That kicker, man, he's got a leg. Ravens lose Justin Tucker, and then the reincarnate is come up.
Cowboys are wasting his prime.
You know what? But he's doing what he loves, and that's kicking field.
That's true.
Nevertheless, before we get into next week's games, kind of thought, I almost fucking forgot my favorite part of the week. The Take Yo Trap Turkey of the Week. Week 3, Week 3, November's third week. How the fuck did I phrase this the first time? Week 3 of the Terrific Turkey Award. This turkey has, another Oregon quarterback, number 10, put on a clinic. No one came in and took his trap this week. Turkey of the week, fucking Bo Nix. 28 of 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. Absolute weapon. Sean Payton has finally found his Drew Brees incarnate. There's no doubt in my mind that Bo Nix is going to be an amazing quarterback. And this kind of cements it, given playing in Mile High Stadium gives you an edge, but, use what you can. Falcons, looked a little bit like bozos this week. Losing by that much to the Broncos, bozo mentality. Just going to say it. First-year head coach, he got to learn a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two. And we're going to keep it short and sweet. Keep it simple. But the second half of the podcast this week, we're kind of just going to chat and have a conversation about AFC, NFC, what we can expect in the playoffs. Some of these teams are definitely not going to make it. Some of these teams are definitely going to make it. And there's that sweet, sweet, sweet middle that we can have a conversation about. And, a lot of teams heat up early, fizzle out late. A lot of teams stay hot the entire season. And just kind of see what we got going on. Like, for a fact, God, I'm tripping over my words today. The fact that the Chiefs lost the Bills and still have a 52% chance to earn a bye over the Bills themselves, it's kind of crazy. I know the Bills have 2 losses, I believe. But yeah, 2 losses to 1. But they're kind of expecting, based off this, the Chiefs don't lose another game the rest of the season. Or they, stay at 1 loss ahead of the Bills, which is crazy to me. The AFC, it gets a little bit more contested when you're looking to see who might miss the playoffs and who might make it. Texans, Texans looking good. Diggs is out for the season. Their offensive line hasn't looked amazing, but still a great team. A lot of people probably thought CJ Stroud would go above and beyond, Patrick Mahomes, even Josh Allen, kind of brought back down to earth to remember that this team is still finding a couple pieces to make them better. Joe Mixon definitely helps that. But I think it's safe to assume the Texans at least make the playoffs right now. Same with the Chargers, even though I could still see them charging up and missing the playoffs somehow to a couple Broncos and Raiders losses. But once you get to the Broncos, Colts, and Dolphins, even the Bengals, to be completely honest, I think I have a strong feeling of who I think makes it, but I could see the Colts fucking up the second part of their season.
I agree,
The only team that's above 4 wins in the wild card race right now is the Colts for 5, and I think the Colts are too inconsistent to continue that.
Yeah.
So the only reasonable teams that can make it back out of the climb are the Bengals and the Dolphins. They're still 3 games behind the wild card, or 2 games because the Broncos have 6, they have 4. But it just I don't know.
It's a weird spot for sure. I think the Broncos will end up making it. But, the Dolphins, with how they routed the Raiders this week and how the Dolphins just typically are offensively when Tua is alive and playing, the Dolphins could win out and really pose a threat to at least the Colts, maybe the Broncos going forward. I don't remember necessarily if the Broncos have played or who the Dolphins have played.
The Dolphins still have the Packers, the Texans, and the Niners as the big ones. And they still have the Jets, Patriots, and then Browns. Jets twice are. But
yeah. That's a tough
they're too inconsistent
schedule
as well. Tyreek Hill hasn't done anything this year. Jalen Waddle feels like he's getting hospital balls thrown to him every week, and he's getting hurt all the time. A-Chain is 50-50, and Mostert's always hurt. Like, their star players just aren't doing anything this year, feels like.
Yeah. What would be hilarious if somehow Indianapolis beat out the Texans, if the Texans start losing after beating Dallas?
Oh my God.
The Colts somehow took over the AFC, was that South, I think?
Yep.
That would be incredible. But, between the Broncos and Colts, it would get interesting because what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so where the Broncos are. Dolphins might be able to. I don't think so because I kind of hate Tua, not going to lie.
Colts' next game is also the Lions, so
yeah,
it really just depends who they play going on into the season. I don't think the Bengals have a very hard remainder of the season, but I think Matt's right. The Colts kind of have a difficult couple games coming up that might be key losses or key wins. Who knows?
The key one's going to be they do still play the Broncos, but it's in Mile High, so that'll be the big one.
Yeah,
obviously.
Bo Nix come out and, destroy you. Especially with that Javonte Williams, a real dog on the Broncos. NFC, man. The AFC has its moments where it's close. The NFC just is a curb stomping this year. The AFC has cannibalized itself, I like to think, whereas the NFC, it's just like 3 juggernauts that are just stomping down everybody. The Lions having these percent chances at week 11, after week 11, is kind of crazy. Because even if you go up to the AFC, there's at least 2 teams that are kind of fighting for that to make a Super Bowl. That just falls off drastically.
Yeah.
I'm still convinced that Sirianni will fuck up the playoffs somehow. I'm not going to lie.
Last year, they were on a 7-game losing streak to end the season. Can't forget that.
Yeah. There's always the chance. The Eagles could do the funniest thing ever. Just fucking tank. God, Philadelphia would burn.
Don't really know who can beat Detroit. They look like a Super Bowl team.
Yeah. I mean, excluding the Eagles just for sake of argument about what you might think about them, I don't see Minnesota coming close.
They've already beat the Vikings
able to keep up. Yeah.
This year.
Green Bay
beat the Packers.
I don't see him keeping it close. Washington's defense, even with Lattimore, I don't think is competitive enough.
Yeah, now Detroit's offense.
The
Falcons. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The Lions' defense has improved since the beginning of the year,
Right.
minus the injuries now to Analazone and Hutchinson. But the only team that was able to compete with them in a shootout was Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay has already lost both their wide receivers, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs considering they're not going to make the wild card most likely with the wins they have, and they've already lost twice to the Falcons, which is going to lose in the division.
Yep.
So,
and I don't know. I mean, Tampa Bay has a pretty easy schedule going on. I think Baker's going to try and turn it up and make it a really close race. I just don't know if they'll be able to like compete with Baltimore, not Baltimore, the Cardinals and the Falcons. I don't know who could win out of those three.
Well, Evans comes back next week, right?
Yeah, he'll be back this upcoming week.
Is Godwin out for season?
Yeah,
I believe so.
He's done.
So it really depends on how much they can spread the ball around between Otten and Evans.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And, you know, the Falcons, after losing to the Broncos, look very beatable now.
Yeah.
Given, like I said, they're very volatile in the sense that, like, some weeks they win by 10 and some weeks they lose by 20. But the Cardinals and Tampa Bay, to some extent, have been kind of heating up in the last 3-4 weeks. I can't remember Tampa Bay's exact schedule, but the Cardinals have beaten the Chargers and a couple other teams as of late. Pretty good. And I can't believe I'm saying it. Kyler Murray has not looked that bad. That defense has improved significantly. Not a terrible team. And with the 49ers just not looking like they want to participate in the postseason this year, it could happen where the Falcons fall down a little bit, but like Matt said, them already losing twice to the Falcons is a big.
Looking at the Bucs schedule, the only really difficult game they got is the Chargers. They got the Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Cowboys,
There's the Panthers,
Saints. Yeah.
Yeah. Told you.
Terrible. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Damn.
That Chargers game, I think, will be the best one. I feel like the Raiders might pull something out and make it close, but I don't think the Giants or Panthers twice or Dallas or New Orleans can really do well against Tampa Bay if Mike Evans is back and if Baker keeps doing well. I mean, he's not doing terrible, but he just got nobody to throw to.
Yeah, I mean, if Evans is back, between Cade Otton and Evans, and then their supporting role cast, they might be able to make it work.
Shepard,
I mean, there's some other number 5. Yeah. If Bucky's back too, I guess. Wasn't he hurt this past week too? Am I crazy?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
But yeah,
it's not a big
deal. Falcons got the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Commanders in their lineup, so it's I take back what I said. Bucks might be able to squeak it.
It'd be sweet if they did.
Cardinals have Seahawks twice, the Vikings, and then Rams and 49ers in their schedule. So that's kind of tough.
Yeah. Look at it. It'll be an interesting finish to the season. We'll keep our ear to the ground on the news that might be happening as we get closer to January. What starts off the most exciting part of the year because we go right from the Super Bowl into March Madness, which is, I mean, just an exhilarating feeling for everyone involved. And now is as great a time as it can be. We go ahead and start talking about this upcoming week's games, Week 12. Thursday night football, we've got some great games. We've had some ass games. Potential ass cheeks game, Pittsburgh Steelers at Cleveland, one of the stinkiest places in America. Pittsburgh favored by 3.5, over under 36.5. I don't know what to expect, mainly from Cleveland in this game. Jameis Winston has not looked like the LASIK ever helped. And on top of that, the Steelers defense has looked dominant. If TJ Watt's anything like Nick Bosa, he might have a vendetta this game to go after Jameis Winston. But no, I really think this game's going to be low scoring personally. I could see Russell Wilson pulling out some stuff, but as a whole, this game feels like a bunch of Myles Garrett primetime, TJ Watt primetime, an amazing Steelers defense versus a beat up Cleveland. Did I say Cavaliers earlier? The Cleveland Browns. Thank God. Cleveland Browns team. Jerry Jeudy caught a touchdown pass last week. I don't know what this team can do other than Nick Chubb at this point. And our resident Nick Chubb fan, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Big Nick Chubb guy.
Yeah.
Do you see Nick Chubb having that game? Having that Joe Mixon style game?
Not like Joe Mixon. I can see him squeaking one in, but I don't know. The Pittsburgh's run defense is a little too good for that.
Yeah.
I can see
I don't know.
Njoku having a game.
Njoku, yeah. I mean, he's really one of the last receivers on that team,
point.
to be completely honest. Tillman or Jerry Jeudy, pick your poison.
Don't forget about Elijah Moore. He's had some sneaky games.
Yeah.
Yes, Elijah Moore.
Jameis just spreads it out once they're down by so much. He just throws it down the field, and whoever's there is there.
It's crazy that a wide receiver wants their tight end, and then we just listed 3 wide receiver 3s.
Yeah. That's a main point of this, is it's like, as much as I'd love for this to be an exciting game, I think we're in for a bit of a doozy all around. It's an AFC North divisional game. Like, these are made to be defensive matchups that no one wants to watch, aside from, great defenses. The steel curtain, if you will. I think I'm going to force Jason to go for the Coy Pond pick of the week this week on over under 36.5. Jason, where's your mind at when you're thinking about this game?
Ooh, it's tough. 36.5 is a great line, but I think I'm just going to go for the over. I think Cleveland will get some garbage time touchdowns, and I think that Pittsburgh's just going to run the score up by halftime on Cleveland. So I think it's going to be a dirty game in the end and try and break that. That's a great line at 36. I could also see it going like severely under, but I'm betting the over.
Yeah, because you're dealing with, you need 6 touchdowns, roughly 5 with a field goal, however you want to chalk it up. This game could very easily be like Pittsburgh goes up early and then Cleveland gets some trash touchdowns, and the final score is like maybe where would it go? 24 to like 14, and then the over hits. But I agree. The other side of it in my head's like, man, this game could be like a 10-3 game.
You don't really enjoy it.
Yeah, Boswell 6 field goals. But we'll see. On the overall record, Pittsburgh versus Cleveland since December of 19. Pittsburgh's done great against the Browns. Over-under is split, so we can't even use the statistics to really help us on this one, sadly. Where was I? There we go. I'm going to float out a play of the week, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but I think he's due. Pat Freiermuth have over 18.5 yards in this game. I kind of think as a team, the Browns have been beaten to shit. I don't think they have much to live for at this point. I think Myles Garrett's probably being wrapped up by bandages, and that's the only thing keeping them together. I feel like Russell Wilson will find a tight end at prime time. And 18.5 feels like such a low number with Russell Wilson doing decent this season. Better than I think a lot of us thought he would based off his Broncos performance. And, we're 1-0 on the plays of the week, so we'll see if we can get that up to 2-0. Only time will tell. Nevertheless, I don't know why that's there. On to the rest of Sunday's games. Minnesota at Chicago. Minnesota is favored by 3.5. I'll be honest, I think Minnesota wins this. I just don't know if it's going to be by 3 or 6, 3 or 7.
I think it's a trap, man.
Really?
Dude, the Bears have been losing barely any. I don't think the Bears are good by any means, but I think Minnesota's been not looking great. The Bears' defense is still pretty solid, and I don't know. It's in Cleveland, divisional game. I think the Bears might be able to squeak it out, but it's a toss-up.
Really?
Yeah, Minnesota really has not looked that great, and the Bears have been keeping games close. Hail Mary and a field goal, like.
Am I crazy, Jason, and thinking Minnesota wins this easily?
No, I mean, it really just depends to Justin Jefferson. I mean, the Bears' defense does look pretty good, but I think Minnesota's defense looks just as good, and I'd much rather have Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson over I don't even know who's their wide receiver one. Keenan Allen, like
DJ Moore.
I just think Minnesota's defense is going to win them the game, and their offense will do just good enough to beat Chicago for sure.
I think Minnesota wins. Yeah, the 3.5 might be a trap. Maybe you ult that to 2.5. I think Minnesota could win by 3, but we'll have to see. Chicago, I'm just assuming is going to be on a dumpster fire of a roll the rest of the season. Tampa Bay at the Giants. Buccaneers favored by 5.5. Giants are starting Tommy Cutlets. This could be a trap. I'll be honest. This is the one I'm scared about. There's no footage on him this season. That's all I mean.
You don't need footage, just Tommy Cutlets.
And he went on what, like a 3-win streak last year?
He's a surprise factor, yeah.
Mike Evans is coming back. He is going to be hungry.
Yeah, no, I
and
agree.
It's a must-win game
5.5
for
might be
Tampa
low.
Bay.
No, I agree. But I'm just floating out there. Quote unquote, Dabble is now coaching for his job like he wasn't the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I think Tampa Bay wins this. I'm just saying the 5.5 feels a bit off to me.
That's fair.
Tampa Bay is going from a warm climate to the Meadowlands where bodies are dumped in rivers. You might find Daniel Jones out in the Bay. Who knows? I'm just saying this feels a bit weird to me, but I do still think Tampa Bay will win pretty easily, in all honesty. Just saying, just floating out there. New England at Miami. God, how bad would it be if Miami loses this?
Terrible.
Not out of the picture.
I mean, I don't think New England's defense is really as good as I think it is to stop, A-Chain, Waddle, Hill's still playing. Like,
he's questionable, I believe.
Okay. Miami should win this, right?
They should, but they're also even in the division.
And I guess it is at Miami, so going from New England down there, like, I'll probably give Miami the edge. I probably wouldn't fuck with the 7.5. This might be a 7. But if Miami just got done doing what they did to the Raiders, maybe they can apply that to the Patriots, since they're still on a winning, or a pretty easy part of their schedule. Probably just take Miami to win. I don't see New England.
Minus 7.5. I don't know. New England held Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams. And they almost beat the Rams. And then
that's what I'm saying.
Beat down the Bears.
Drake May is kind of sneaky.
They beat the Bears 19-3. I can see Miami choking it in Miami fashion.
Yeah,
I still think Miami wins, but I can see them choking it.
Maybe sprinkle Patriots plus 7.5.
I like that.
Maybe sprinkle that. Tennessee at Houston. Yeah, Houston should win this by 10. I have no faith in Will Levis, and Houston's home, so CJ Stroud doesn't have to play outside, so he should pass for 400 yards. That's just my opinion, but I don't know if you guys have any conflicted views with this game specifically.
No, Nico Collins will have a game.
Yeah, we expect Nico to get 200 yards. Dallas at Washington.
That line's a little low, I think.
10.5. Okay.
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to get railed.
I would say there's a good chance Scary Terry might have a field day.
Dallas's mental's already gone. Like, the entire team, they don't want to step on that field.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
And the Commanders are a young team. They're hot. They're in the race for the division. They're coming in with the chip on their shoulder, and Dallas is trying to get the first draft pick.
Dan Quinn probably wants to send a message to his previous team that he played for or coached for. So maybe, sorry, Kev, maybe take Washington minus 15. Kansas City goes to Carolina. Yeah, Kansas City's favored by 10.5. I don't think there needs to be.
Bryce Young's on a 2-game win streak. And
yeah, dude, don't
1-game loss streak.
on Carolina.
Charlotte's
Carolina
beautiful this time of year.
Brooks is back. You have Adam Thielen's coming off the IR. If Bryce is confident.
Mingo.
Chuba Hubbard's gonna have himself a year.
Chuba, I know.
He's been running back 5 different times this year in fantasy, I believe.
Yeah,
that's a real stat. That's a real stat.
Brooks was the only one. I think he was the first drafted running back. So I'm excited to see how he'll do, but I just don't think it'll be enough to beat Kansas City. But I think it'll be a closer game than people expect, at least for the first half. I could also see Kansas City just blowing them out.
Kansas City keeps every game within a score. So
that's a fair point. I would actually probably take the 10.5. Carolina's feeling good. I was kind of just haggling to haggle. I'd love to manifest the fact that Carolina could win this game in the deepest part of my heart. For the sake of the Chargers potentially winning the division if Kansas City imploded, I would love that. Kansas City's probably going to win, but I'd love to see Carolina keep it close for what it's worth. Detroit at Indianapolis. I just have to assume Detroit might win this by 30. I'd probably alt that Detroit minus 7.5. Fuck it, take it to 15. 16, maybe 18.
Last time I looked, I'm pretty sure Indiana had the 30th worst rush defense in the league. So then
that's
you're going
it's gonna
against
be
Gibbs and Montgomery.
Gibbs game for
Yeah,
sure.
it's gonna be a grounded pound.
You know, as much as I'd like to say Detroit's due for one of these really bizarre upsets, with how badly they keep beating teams, I don't know if that's possible. So definitely Detroit -7.
They were due against the Texans. They tried with 5 interceptions.
No, that's what I mean. They've already done it. Yeah, fucking the Lions. Denver at Las Vegas. Bo Nix going on a little tour to go destroy the Gamblers. I would assume Denver routes the Raiders, to be honest with you. I don't see there being any way the Raiders stay in this game other than Brock Bowers willing them to a couple hundred yards. I don't know, Jason, if you have any feeling about that, but I think Bo Nix will just keep doing his thing. Sean Payton, I believe in way more than the Raiders coaching. Just kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be a test to see how well Bo Nix does against Max Crosby. If he just gets in his head,
True.
then that's the only way I see Vegas staying in this game. But then Denver's offense and defense just has looked so good the past couple weeks that I think they'll have a similar outcome to the Miami game against the Raiders this previous week. So,
is it Sutton that's on defense on the Broncos? Is that the name I'm thinking
Pastor
of?
Surtain.
Thank you.
Surtain,
Sorry.
yeah.
Maybe take him to get a defensive touchdown, or the Denver Broncos to have a defensive touchdown, to be honest, because I kind of forgot Max Crosby existed there for a minute. But the Broncos defense has only gotten better throughout this entire season somehow. And the Raiders offense is kind of all over the place, especially with the old Minshew mania back there. So
Broncos beat them by 16 last time they played this year. So
wow, okay, so yeah, I like the 6.5 as it is. Definitely by a touchdown. San Francisco goes to Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 1.5. Is this where San Francisco turns their entire season around by beating up Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs? Matt, what do you think?
I ain't got a clue on this game, bro.
Neither do
Green
I.
Bay is the most high
either.
cold team. San Francisco is so hard to read right now. I want to say San Fran wins it, but
you know what? I think I have
couldn't
an
tell you.
easy way for us to decide this game.
coin flip.
Yes.
Head to San Fran. His tails.
All right, Green Bay is winning that game. On to the next one. Arizona at Seattle. I am confident Arizona wins this game. Seattle, if they win the last game, I don't think they can win the next game. I don't doubt Geno Smith, but Arizona's looked really good. This is a divisional game, and I don't think anybody's tweeted out anything bad about Geno Smith yet on the Cardinals. And as long as that doesn't happen, I honest to God think Arizona handles this one. Maybe within 3 points, but I think Arizona wins this game, even though it is at Seattle.
I want Seattle to win strictly for the fact that we have a chance to get the entire division at 6-5.
I would agree with that. That would also be
Oh,
hilarious.
That'd be kind of cool.
Could be kind of awesome. But other than that, this is the same kind of vibe as the last game where I'm like,
It's a toss-up.
man,
I have no idea.
sucks. Can you imagine they both ended in ties?
That'd be sick.
The electric
Um,
overtime games.
Overtime, maybe bonus football on the 4 o'clock slate. We'll have to see. Philadelphia goes to SoFi Stadium for Sunday Night Football.
I'm very
the last time
confident the Rams handle business here.
I would love for the Rams to handle
I'm
business, to be
confident that
honest.
the Rams will be deep.
Going to be a trap game. Philly's going to come out. I think Philly's going to surprise people.
You know, they are hot right now, and they are looking good. I do
Technical
think, though... Oh, you're fine. The Rams, the last time they played in SoFi in primetime against the Dolphins, completely choked. I mean, the Rams should have won that game. They just didn't. It took Stafford 3 quarters just to get in the rhythm. I feel like Sirianni has to fuck one of these games up. This is kind of like the Carolina-Kansas City game this week. I'm trying to manifest a Rams win, to be completely honest with you.
The Rams in prime time at home. They're unbeatable.
Yeah, but Philly in prime time.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Like, I think Philly wins this, but I really want the Rams to win. Just for the sake of, if they fuck this up, then the Commanders might take back first place. Because don't the Eagles have first place right now?
By the head-to-head.
Head-to-head.
Yeah.
So for the culture, I would love for the Rams to win this just for that. I don't really have anything.
I just got a good feeling on the Rams here.
Hey, we'll see. Jason's got Philly, Matt and I've got the Rams. How about that?
Sure.
How about them apples?
Sounds good.
Now, Monday night.
It's all on you, see.
We got a
You, buddy.
Harbaugh Bowl. Man,
Oh,
it's gonna suck. The Chargers barely lost to Baltimore last year, and I think it was in LA last year too. And that team was so bad for so many reasons, including, not limited to, Brandon Staley, who's now with the 49ers, even more reason the Green Bay Packers are going to win this week. Nevertheless, Harbaugh Bowl this week. Baltimore's defense, kind of atrocious. By all accounts, the only reason the Chargers won against the Bengals was because of kickers. The only reason the Ravens lost to the Steelers was because of kickers. Because of Dicker the kicker, give me the Chargers -7.
Flawless, honestly.
You know what? Zay Flowers in primetime, clown show, to be completely honest.
Yeah, he jokes.
Zay Flowers won't show up. He'll have to get gurneyed out of there because he breathed too hard on the sideline. Bateman, he'll have about 250 yards. And, Lamar Jackson, I think, is just atrocious against the Chargers. They've beat him, I think, in the playoffs twice or once in the playoffs his first year. Then since then, maybe not as much. I might be lying about that. Nevertheless, I just know that the Bolts are inside Lamar's head. Give me the Bolts -7.
I would love to see the Chargers win this game.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, but I feel like Herbert could pull out another shocker and just be able to throw all over Baltimore, but it's going to be tough to stop Lamar and Derrick Henry.
It's going to be a shootout, I think.
Well, Chargers' run defense is pretty good, given there's some injuries. If Khalil Mack is back, I'll have way more confidence, and I'll actually be real about that -7. I think also Jim really wants to beat his brother, really bad. That was part of the reason that he even came back to the NFL, was to prove to him that he can also win a Super Bowl. I don't think that's this year, just to be fair. Full transparency. I'm not saying that's happening this year, but this game's going to be personal for the two of them. So we'll have to see. I really don't think Zay Flowers shows up. I think Derrick Henry could rush for 200, or he could be held, depending on who's back on the Chargers defense. Bateman will have a great game. Watch Deontay Johnson have his fucking career game against the Chargers, with all honesty. Yeah. But it is Baltimore traveling across the country to LA, so that definitely plays a role in it. Indoor stadium versus outdoor stadium. I think there's factors that could play into the Chargers' favor that have gone a little bit overlooked. And Justin Tucker being Justin Tucker right now. He's either going to go 5 for 5 or 0 for 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm kind of split on how I think it really goes, but I think it'll be a good game. Nevertheless. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that one, but don't.
Nope.
No?
I'm good.
Well, fuck it. I think that's all we have this week, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for watching. Coy Pond episode 54. Next week we'll be back in the studio. We'll have K-Dog back with us, and everything will be back to normal. But nevertheless, thank you to Matt and Jason for showing up again on short notice for the podcast. And we will see you all next week. Peace.